Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Sudama Prabhu, can you hear me?
Hare Krishna, Abhijit Prabhuji, I can hear you clearly.
Can you please make me co-host? I made you host, but then
Yes.
I'm your co-host.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Thank you. It is Indonesia, Bhakti Vedanta Institute, Indonesia. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
बिल्कुल तो क्लास चालू हो गई है, मेरे बच्चे पढ़ेंगे। तो समझ जाता है कि very fast करती जा रही है। अरे वो बोल के उससे
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Abhijit Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can
Yes.
hear you now.
Can you make sure that His Holiness is Maharaj is joining the English channel, please, so that my interpreter can communicate with him?
Yes, Prabhuji. So now we can test that.
Okay.
Bal Krishna Prabhu, are you able to hear here? This is Maharaj's mic. Now, and I can also hear you. So I just want you to ensure that the two-way communication is working, so that the part. Now, Prabhuji, when a Indonesian participant who speaks in Indonesian, if they ask a question or they participate, they want to say something, can you also translate it to English for Maharaj? Okay, so then it's working. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Yes, Prabhu.
I would like to ask, so if the Indonesian devotees who speaks Indonesian would like to ask question, or should they raise their hand or the interpreter only? Or
Either way is fine, Prabhu.
okay,
Either is
all right, Prabhu. Thank you.
yeah.
Hare Krishna, untuk yang Indonesia, please join untuk bahasa Indonesia ya, channelnya, interpretersnya.
Can I turn on the video?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to session number 3 of our study of the Nectar of Instruction at the level of Bhakti Sastri. I'd like to begin by offering some prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Militan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarasati Devi Kauravani Precharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'd like to begin this evening. We'll have a review of what we've been studying so far. We began with the preface, and we were hearing Srila Prabhupada introduce to us the importance of Srila Rupa Goswami. I'd like some of you, I'd like all of the people listening to class, I'd like your participation in this. You know, I'll ask some questions and you can answer, you can raise your hands. You know how to utilize your monitor. So it will be nice to hear from the students to get some participation there. Those of you who are not English speaking, you can also raise your hands and your translator will translate what you say. We don't mind. Don't feel shy. Right? So I was looking over the student handbook, and in the student handbook, a number of points are made, which we have to consider, you know, the objectives of our learning. So I just want to make sure we've got everything clear. So giving an overview of the Upadesha Amrita, right? We began, or the Upadesha Amrita begins, speaking about the importance of, would someone like to say, one of our class members, tell us what is the main topic of the first verse? Prabhu, you're monitoring this, you tell me, people
Yes.
raise their hands. Have we got some hands raised?
Yes. We have Anandini, Radhika Mataji, and Giridharidas.
Girid Haridas, Prabhu, you can tell us what's the first verse about?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So, as far as I can remember, the first verse is telling us the importance of controlling the 6 urges.
Okay.
Namely, can I mention that?
Yes, please.
Namely, the urges of speaking, and then the urges of the demands of the mind, and then the action of the anger, and then also the urges of the tongue, belly, and the genitals. And that person that can control those urges can make disciples in all over the world.
So does it mean that person's a pure devotee?
I think so, Maharaj, yes, based on that. But it's
Well,
the first step
I
to
don't know
become pure
about that.
devotee.
I don't know about that. I have my doubts whether or not he's really a pure devotee. He may control the senses. He may not be a devotee at all. You know, you have a lot of impersonalists and yogis. They're also expert in controlling the senses, but they don't have devotion for Krishna. So becoming a Goswami or making disciples doesn't mean that they're actually pure devotees.
Okay.
They still have a way to go to become a Vaishnava.
I think it's the
Right?
first step to become a pure devotee.
That's exactly right. It's the first step. We're entering into the doorway of bhakti.
Yeah.
Because we want to cultivate bhakti, we have to have some control over this. Actually, in the preface, Srila Prabhupada mentions the first business of people in the path of self-realization. You know what is the first business of someone in the path of self-realization?
Can I answer it also, Maharaj? It's controlling the mind and senses.
Right, yes, controlling the mind and senses. So that's the very first business that gets us in the doorway to bhakti. We become qualified to take up bhakti. So thank you very much. And then we went on in the preface, Srila Prabhupada also talks about the who is leading this Krishna consciousness movement. Who did he describe? Who is the leader of this Krishna consciousness movement? Somebody
Rupa
knows?
Goswami.
Rupa Goswami. Thank you. So Rupa Goswami, could you tell me something about Rupa Goswami? Would you like to tell me briefly something about who Rupa Goswami is and why he's the leader? What's his specific contribution?
Yes, Maharaj. So, according to the description of the previous acharyas, Rupa Goswami is the principal Rupa Manjari in the spiritual world, who is serving Lalita Sakhi, and all other Manjaris are also associates of Radha Krishna. And Rupa Manjari is the chief among them. Therefore, Prabhupada says again and again that this Krishna consciousness movement is originally directed by Rupa Goswami, and we are also following him. That is why we are also called Rupanugas.
Okay. We'd like to hear someone else tell us more about Rupa Goswami.
Yes, Maharaj. He collected all the data from Govinda. He is a personal servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's a god brother also. So
Rupa Goswami got from the diary of Govinda.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah?
Yes.
And that was the basis of, what did he do with the information from the diary of Govinda?
He compiled the first book to be published in America as Nectar of Devotion in Padashamrita to guide our activities, to become perfect Goswamis, pure Vaishnavas, and make our lives successful.
Oh, yeah. So he compiled the Upadesh Amrita, at least, based
Yeah,
on Govinda. The Upadesh Amrita was based on that. Right? And we also, what some more things Rupa Goswami did? Someone else like to tell us? Anybody else's hands up?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah. Whose hand is up? Bala Krishna Das Prabhu.
I think the line, so I don't think you can hear him. Maharaj, Rupa Goswami also wrote down the Nectar of Devotion as well, which is a detailed explanation.
My request is that please wait.
Yes, Lord Brahma received the Vedic knowledge from Lord Krishna. You could say also Srimad Bhagavatam, that is also given to Brahma. Yes, okay. We specifically mentioned the Vedic knowledge at the beginning of creation. Vedic knowledge. And in the same way, Lord Chaitanya instructed Rupa Goswami for 10 days and then sent him to Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, what was he doing? Besides writing books, what did
Hare
he?
Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhu.
Can I answer that, Maharaj?
Okay.
Rupa Goswami has conquered lots of lost Leela places of Sri Krishna and also constructed many temples as well.
Yes, generally he is attributed with the Radha Govinda Ji temple in Vrindavan, which was the biggest temple in Vrindavan. It was initially 7 layers, 7 levels, but Aurangzeb, when the Muslim invaded, they reduced it to 3 levels. So Rupa Goswami, although he was in elderly age by the time, and he left the body even before it was completed, but because the deity Radha Govinda was his deity and he was the main initiator behind the temple, so he's given the credit. I think later on the temple was finished by Jiva Goswami. And so Rupa Goswami built the temple, and the purpose of building the temple was to show people how to worship the deities. What should be the proper standard of deity worship? Not just to build a big temple, but to actually show people how to worship the Lord in his deity form. What should be the proper standard? So Rupa Goswami did that. That was one of the instructions from Lord Chaitanya. Another thing Rupa Goswami did was to excavate the different places of Krishna's pastimes there in Vrindavan. Of course, he got help from Lord Chaitanya and other people. But we see Rupa Goswami was very active. He had the two brothers, Rupa and Sanatan, they came there to Vrindavan in their older age. They were not so young because they retired from their work, where they were working under the Mohammedan government, Nawab Hussain Shah. They gave up that work to come to Lord Chaitanya, to take up service under Lord Chaitanya's mission. So Rupa Goswami also established what's the correct behavior for people in different ashrams, different orders of life. So, a very great contribution to Krishna consciousness. So he's recognized as the leader of the 6 Goswamis. Although he's the younger brother of Sanatan, he's considered like the leader. And then we spoke also about Srila Prabhupada's connection. How does Srila Prabhupada connect to Rupa Goswami? Someone like to tell us? Someone maybe who hasn't spoken?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, can I speak?
Please.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Prabhu Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada, during his earlier days, he would reside on the, in the Radha Damodar temple, where there is the Samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami, and he would there serve, and he would also pray to Rupa Goswami, so that he is empowered to carry out the instruction of his spiritual master, His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. So since we are considered as Rupa Nugas, we follow the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami, because he is the direct disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srila Prabhupada took shelter of Rupa Goswami for carrying out his that instruction that was given by his spiritual master. Thank you.
Thank you. Very kind, very nice, yes. Srila Prabhupada also had some vision before he went to the West, right? Srila Prabhupada, while he was residing there in the rooms at Radha Damodar, it is said that Rupa Goswami appeared to him and directly told him that you go there, you go to the West, and spread Krishna consciousness, get people to chant Hare Krishna. And Rupa Goswami told him, and I'll be with you. I'll be right there with you. So you don't have to worry. So like this, Prabhupada had a very deep relationship with Srila Rupa Goswami. Yeah, it's conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. And we explained how Rupa Goswami, he works under the supervision of Lord Chaitanya. And we are, as Maharaji said, we are Rupa Nugas. We are following Rupa Goswami. What was taught to Rupa Goswami by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami has put in the Upadeshamrita. And we're following that, we're following these teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami. Therefore, we are Rupanugas. Rupa Goswami is also given us very nice, complete definitions of Bhakti Yoga and renunciation. So we take these definitions very much to heart, and they become part of our lifestyle, our mindset in following Rupa Goswami. Okay. how can the Upadesha, following the Upadeshamrita, how can it improve our attitude in Krishna consciousness? Anyone would like to say? The attitude, remember we spoke about attitude? What did Prabhupada say about attitude? Anyone remember?
Yes.
Manoj?
Hare Krishna. We should become fearless, and that's what Prabhupada was saying. That, and we keep a steady attitude.
Yeah, it's mentioned in the preface.
Yes.
Would someone like to help him? Yes?
Yes, Maharaj.
Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. The follower of Krishna consciousness movement should be a perfect Goswami.
You know, please try to put your hand up before you speak out. You know.
My hand is up, Maharaj. My hand is up. My hand is up.
No.
what Maharaj is saying is, please wait for your turn. So many students will raise their hands, and then Maharaj will choose who will speak. Then you can speak. So otherwise, if 2 or 3 people speak at the same time, there may be confusion. So
Okay.
first is that you can raise your hand and wait for your name to be called. Then, all right. Thank you for raising your hand.
All right, so everything depends on the attitude of the disciple, our attitude in performing devotional service. The attitude is very important. That attitude should be proper. The attitude should be that we are surrendering to Krishna and we genuinely desire to advance in Krishna consciousness. That's the proper attitude. We depend on Krishna and Krishna's mercy, and we try our best to be worthy of Krishna's mercy. Unlike the other, jnanis and yogis and karmis, they're all working on their own. By their own efforts, they do everything. But a devotee understands we're dependent on the mercy of Krishna. So we have to become worthy recipients of Krishna's mercy. We pray to Krishna. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, become an instrument in my service. So like that, we think of ourselves as simply an instrument in the service of Krishna. This should be our attitude as devotees. So the Upadeshamrita is guiding us in cultivating this proper attitude. All right, so we'll go on to look at the first text, which we discussed, right? We remember, maybe you remember we were speaking of the first text. Has anyone memorized the text yet? Somebody knows the text by heart? Without looking at the book, I know you can read. But can
Yes, Maharaj.
Without, okay, please tell us. What's your name?
Adhikari Maharaj.
Okay, Prabhu, would you like to tell us the first verse? Right, you're not going to read it, right? You're going to say it. Right? We know you can, everybody can read it, but have you memorized it yet?
Yes, yes, Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Many participants, actually many have this.
Okay. Gita Indulekha marriage. Will tell us the first verse.
Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva vegam udaropastha vegam etan vegan yo vishet dhira sarvam api imam prithvim sashishyat.
Yes, do you know the translation also?
Yes, Maharaj. A person who who knows to control the urges of the belly, tongue, genitals, and the mind demands actions of the anger can make disciples is qualified to make disciples all over the world.
Okay, you forgot one. The urge to speak.
Yes, so sorry. I have to speak.
Okay, very good. Do you know the meaning Vega? What does it mean,
Saya
Vega?
juga boleh Prabhuji.
Vega means the urges.
The urge, right, the Vegas, the different Vegas, the urge to speak, the mind's demand, the Vacho Vega,
Yes.
Manasa Krodha Vega, right? So, now some people, they may try to control the urge to speak in the wrong way. Just like sometimes people will do monavrat, they'll make a vow of silence. So is that effective? Will that help us to become Krishna conscious?
No, Maharaj.
Why not?
We should always speak about the glories and about the names, forms, and qualities of Krishna, and we should never keep Monrat. It's not. Then how will we glorify Krishna? Actually, we have to change from material to spiritual. Not talk about mundane subject matters, and we should talk about Krishna and his glories. And even Krishna becomes happy by this. Bhagavad Gita, there are shloks about, in which Krishna said, "Na tasman manusheshu kaschit me priyakritama." So Krishna also wants us to preach about him.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good. Yes, some people will often try to control the urges in the wrong way. Just like what do people ask somebody else? Let's hear from some other devotee. What would be a good way? What would be the manner in which the impersonalists try to control their mind? We can ask. Sureshwara Mataji. Yes, Mataji. How do the impersonalists try to control their mind? Okay.
Dengan mengendalikan semua indera Ilya, menahan dorongan untuk berbicara, tindakan amarah, permintaan pikiran, menahan dorongan lidah, perut, serta kemaluan. Dengan cara semi itu disebut sebagai Goswami, yaitu yang orang yang bisa menguasai
but I
indera
want to know specifically, how do the impersonalists try to control their mind?
dengan menyibukkan diri dalam kesadaran Krishna. Oh, impersonalist.
Yes, impersonalist.
Dengan menyibukkan diri, misalnya yang terutama usia yang sudah usia, menyibukkan diri dengan pergi memancing, nonton TV, baca koran, atau senang-senang dengan keluarga. Bisa dengar ya, Prabuji?
Well, usually for the impersonalists, they try to negate everything, right? So they want to make the mind blank. They don't absorb it in mundane things like sports, but they try to simply make the mind blank because they think all material activities are illusion. They say, the impersonalists will say, this world is unreal and only the Brahman is truth. So they try to make everything zero and they want to make their mind empty. So can they do that for long? What does Maharaji say? Sureshwari Mataji. What does she think? Is it possible to make the mind blank? Prabhu, are you translating?
Tidak, Prabhuji, tidak.
Why?
Iya, karena pikiran itu secepat angin kita dan berkedip-kedip cancalam. Kita tidak bisa mengosongkan pikiran, di mana sedangkan pikiran itu adalah tempat duduk daripada nafsu. Jadi pikiran itu tidak bisa dikendalikan hanya kecuali dengan menyibukkan kesadaran dalam kesadaran Krishna, baru dengan mengucapkan nama suci atau ikut dalam kesadaran Krishna.
So how are you going to engage your mind? Only chanting the holy name?
Tidak banyak lagi kecuali dengan menyibukkan kita dalam kesadaran Krishna seperti ikut Harinam, Sankirtan Mahayagya, ikut Manggala Arati yang berhubungan dengan kesadaran Krishna, terutama kita juga menyebarkan buku-buku Srila Prabhupada.
Good. Yes. Thinking how to serve Krishna. Okay, so the mind has a lot to contemplate if we use it for the service of Krishna. Many books to read, many services to do. We don't need to think of the material world. All right, so the mind, and then next one was anger. Would someone like to? Oh, we heard before. One Maharaji gave a very nice description about controlling anger, right? Yeah. Oh. They're raising their hands. They want to speak about.
Oh, iya, yang tidak tahu caranya Prabhuji. Tadi.
Who? Anandini Radhika Maharaji. You tell us about how you would deal with anger, how you use it in the service of Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Anger, it comes because of our attachments or like our expectations on something, on some of the things. So if we decrease our desires or controlling power, so it can be like, it helps us to reduce. In the service of Krishna, like if somebody blaspheme or somebody try to hurt devotees, that time we can do that, like how Mahaprabhu shows angry on Jagai and Madai, and he encouraged Arjuna to fight in the war, like how Hanuman, like he lit the fire to Lanka. These 3 ways we can serve in the service.
So you've given us 3 examples of devotees who used anger in the service of Krishna. So if somebody attacks you, are you going to get angry and attack them?
Like, maybe I will try to protect myself, Maharaj.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think you have a right to protect yourself.
Yes.
You know, what about if somebody insults you? How are you going to take it?
If my sadhana is really good, I will take it as a Krishna's mercy. Like, it's showing to grow myself. That's what I am working with it now. If not, if I could not able to control, I may not say in a hard way, but I will try to explain, Maharaj.
Yeah, generally we're encouraged to tolerate.
Yes.
Somebody even, the example was given there in the purport when Lord Nityananda was attacked, that, he accepted it. He didn't retaliate. And when Lord Chaitanya came to punish the offenders, Lord Nityananda begged Lord Chaitanya to forgive them. So Prabhupada mentions there that a devotee will tolerate his own abuse. We saw Haridas Thakur beaten in 22 marketplaces, and he prayed to Krishna, please don't punish the people beating me. And similarly, Lord Jesus Christ, when he was nailed on the cross, he also prayed, Father, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. So the example is there in these great devotees that, they didn't harbor any bad feelings towards the people who were beating them and torturing them and doing so many terrible things to them. They tolerated. So Prabhupada said this is the mood of a devotee, but at the same time another devotee should not stand and watch, but he should want to help. He should come to the aid of that devotee. So somebody may abuse us, we may take it ourselves, but somebody else who's a devotee, we hope they will come to our defense and they will protect us and establish our position. We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see an example how Srivas Pandit was, somebody had put a lot of paraphernalia for worshipping the demigods in his backyard. And so the next morning, everything was there. There was wine and different terrible, uncontaminated things, all paraphernalia for worshipping demigods. And Srivas just said yes. But the other Brahmins just came and they knew it was nothing to do with Srivas. And they had a sweeper come and clear the whole place and purify everything. They knew that Srivas had nothing to do with any of these things. So that's the idea. We want to have such a good position that, people will not think anything bad of us. And if somebody does have some malice, some bad feeling towards us, we just tolerate it. It's a test of Krishna to take away our false ego.
Yes.
All right? So anger, then the urge, then we hear about the urges of the tongue and the belly and the genitals. Now, it's particular, there's a question here, I was noticing one of the questions which is asked there in relation to this text number 1. It said, why should one avoid palatable dishes even while eating prasadam? Anyone like to reply to this question? Do we have some hands up? Why should one avoid palatable dishes even while eating Prasada. Yes, and we will ask Ratin Singha. Would you like to reply, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dhanavad Pranam. Yeah, so we should also avoid palatable dishes even if they are prasad, because the prasadam is meant to be honored, prasad seva. But if we are taking only the palatable dishes and we become choosy, then actually we are taking it as a matter of sense gratification. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also instructed that bhalo na khave, bhalo na parive. So this vairagya is also one of the important factors of a Gaudiya Vaishnava. Therefore, to invoke the mood that we honor prasadam in an attitude of service, therefore we should not distinguish that I only will take the palatable ones and I will not take the simple ones. Therefore, we can, you mentioned in the previous class that when Prabhupada used to distribute his Mahaprasad, he used to mix everything so that devotees do not distinguish.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. Very nice. Any other devotee wants to contribute to this? Any other points which Prabhu did not cover?
The devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives.
For the procedure, you know, we have to say your name, you know. Don't just speak out, you know. Right? We want to give everyone an opportunity to speak, you know. You're very...
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
No, just a minute.
So we are seeing you can raise your hand on the participant list, and Maharaj will ask one of you.
Yeah, we have a lot of enthusiastic devotees here.
Nice that so many people want to.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got some hands up here. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
I think Ananta Vijay Prabhu doesn't know how to raise it. Maybe he doesn't know. That's why he's speaking.
All right, maybe Shilpa Shyam Mataji would like to say something.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Boleh ya, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna?
Keep continuing,
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
So as Prabhupada says in the verse that because the prasad is too palatable, we might overeat. We might eat too much of it, and then in that way we become prey to satisfying the demands of our tongue.
The prasadam is too palatable. Did we become prey to what?
So if the prasadam is too palatable, we will overeat. We will eat too much of it, and then in that bargain, then we are satisfying our tongue. We get yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's right. Prabhupada mentions like that if it's too palatable, if we take the palatable dishes, the tendency will be to eat more. And when we eat more, then what happens?
Then we are we are satisfying our belly and our genitals then.
Okay, right. Puts more weight on the belly and leads to uncontrolled senses. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so controlling the urge to the tongue, the belly, and the genitals. So Prabhupada talks about here, the question is also there. Why does the Krishna consciousness movement encourage marriage? I'm sure marriages will have some answers for this. Don't they? Yes, can we have some hands up? Yes. Don't see too many new hands. Adi Raj Das.
Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So the Krishna consciousness movement, as Srila Prabhupada said, encourages marriage not for the satisfaction of the genitals, but for begetting Krishna conscious children and training them by sending them to Gurukul and to become fully Krishna conscious devotees.
Okay. How do we get good quality children?
By following proper regulations and rules before begetting a child.
Yes, we have to beget children according to religious principles. It's a science. Generally, people are ignorant. They don't know the science, how to beget good children. But it's a science, and it's very clearly described in Vedic literature what the procedure is. So when couples will follow like that, then they can be sure to get good quality children. So we need children. Children are very important for our movement because they're the future of our movement. If our children don't become devotees, then in the future there may be no more temples. The temples will be empty. It's really important that our children should be nice devotees. We should give a lot of attention to the most important part of our devotee care program is taking care of children and the youth and helping them come into Krishna consciousness. Very, very important work. So it begins with the conception, from the time of conception. You want to get good children, the mother and father are responsible.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Prabhu. All right, so we spoke, text 1 describes controlling these different urges. We've spoke about the different methods of sense control through the application of Krishna consciousness. And we spoke also about the unauthorized processes of sense control, which don't lead to Krishna consciousness. Now it's pointed out that if these urges are not controlled, then the result is, and that's shown in text number 2. From text 1, follows, when the urges are not controlled, then what happens? And the 6 qualities are mentioned, which lead to our fall down in spiritual life, which stop our advancement in Krishna consciousness. So we want to look at these 6 items which were mentioned, right? 6, who knows the verse? These, again, memorization verses, right? Would someone like to volunteer? Let me see, who knows the verse? Balakrishna Prabhu, do you know the verse? Oh, you're the interpreter. No. Oh, let me ask somebody else. What about Dakshinarani Mataji? You know the verse, second verse?
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me, Maharaj?
Yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. The second verse is Atyahara prayasascha prajalpa niyamagraha jana sangascha laulyamcha sadbir bhakti vinasyati. The translation is someone devotional service is spoiled if they doing the following activity. Too much collecting money or too much eating, overeating, Atyahara and Prayasa, too much endeavoring for mundane material thing which is difficult to get, engage in gossiping or mundane talk, materialistic talk, following principle, following rule and regulation, not for advancement of bhakti, but just for the sake of following it, or just doing whimsically, not following at all the rule and regulation, and being greedy.
Okay, very good. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Can you tell me now about Atyahara?
Atyahara means too much eating, or overeating, or collecting more than what is necessary. Like suppose we need collecting money for our just enough for our maintenance, but instead we just collecting more and more, like to become rich or something like that. Or the simple thing is also like suppose I just need some pair of sari which is enough for my daily activities and going to temple, but instead of that I just like collecting many different type of sari because of it is like a nice color or nice style or something like that, just for the sake of having it.
So do you have any good plan how to control this Atyahara?
Try to have a simple life as possible. Like Srila Prabhupada always said, simple life, high thinking. So just take as much as needed for the basic need of our life. Like how much is needed for taking care of family life, like paying school for the children, like for the taking care of the tax government or something like that, and not take too much from that. And for like our belongings, as much as possible, just take as much as necessary. So if it's not needed, no need to what to say, to collect it just for the sake of collecting it.
Okay, yes, very good. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So Atyahara, the whole world is guilty. You know, we're all suffering because of this Atyahara principle. Because people in general all want more than what they actually need, what is actually necessary. And because of this Atyahara, there is so much development. We showed in the other class how much food is wasted and how much problems there are to dispose, the old motor cars and the old refrigerators, the old televisions, you know, millions of these things. And they accumulate all over the planet, everywhere. People have televisions, refrigerators, then they get more, they want air conditioners, then motor cars, motorbikes. You know, people used to have bicycles. I used to see people everywhere on bicycles, but then it's all replaced now with motorbikes. And after motorbikes, it becomes motor cars. And the problems are immense. More and more things, littering everywhere. And houses. They want bigger houses, more houses. So this is all Atyahara. And because of Atyahara, then the next thing is prayashas, over-endeavoring. Because of the greed, then we make great efforts to get more, intense efforts, prayashas. So we have to be very conscious of these things and not to be too much entangled with all these desires. Prabhupada, if you read the Ishopanishad, Prabhupada gives the example in one of the mantras, the purpose, one of the mantras in Sri Ishopanishad, Srila Prabhupada gives the example about a fever. How the body is meant to have a temperature which is a healthy level, but people want to increase the temperature. They want to bring the temperature higher to the condition of a fever. And they have a fever, they want to increase the temperature even more. Instead of bringing the temperature down to the healthy level, they think they have to increase the temperature. So our material life is a lot like that. A lot of desires, a lot of greed, and we have to try to regulate it. Similarly with eating, you know, there are restaurants, you can go 24 hours a day. They're there serving meals to people. People are not regulated. They go and eat all times of the day and night. And not only eating, but they do a lot of drinking as well. So people are very unregulated in their habits. And this creates a lot of bad health because the tongue is uncontrolled, because they're unregulated. So people suffer. Their health is very poor. Okay, so Atyahara Prayashas Prajalpa. Who would like to explain to us about Prajalpa? Can we see some hands up? Om Adhikari would like to tell us about Prajalpa. Om Adhikari?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes.
Yes, Maharaj. Prajalpa means the talking unnecessarily, like we always talk about others. We always, talking behind the others, what they are doing, what they are having in the personal life. So this means this unnecessary talking about the other people. We're not concerned about the Krishna consciousness. We always bothered about what people are doing, what others are doing in their day-to-day life. So Prajalpa means we have to avoid all this thing. Maharaj.
Yes, very true. So what do we need to do to avoid it?
We have to talk only about the Krishna consciousness and how we have to talk about the Krishna. We have to glorify the Krishna. We should always avoid this thing.
Won't it become boring if we just only speak about Krishna?
No, Maharaj, we have to, put our mind in the right track so that we should always talk about the Krishna only. We have to, all the thing is about the controlling our mind, and also we have to always put our mind in the right track so that our mind doesn't look for this nonsense thing.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of nectar in Krishna. There's so much nectar in Krishna. We have to find the nectar. We have to taste the nectar. Is someone else there to tell us more about Prajalpa, the dangers of Prajalpa, and how we're going to counteract it? Oh, Ronak Agarwal Prabhu would like to tell us maybe.
Hare Krishna. Prajalpa basically means talking about mundane worldly affairs. Like when we associate with non-devotees, then they generally talk about things which are of not really our interest, like of other people or some material achievements, some material gains or exploitation and other factors. So when we keep on listening to these things, or when we indulge in talking these things, then naturally our mind gets polluted, and then we are not able to focus on ourselves. it's better to avoid these talks, and it's better to, whenever we talk about the glories of Lord, or the glories of his devotees, followers, and in this way we can control our habit of just talking mundane things.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, very nice. Yes, nonsense talk. Means nonsense talk, means nonsense thought, as Prabhu said. Make our minds become polluted by talking nonsense. And nonsense thought will lead to nonsense actions. And when we do nonsense activities, it will lead to birth and death again. In other words, we'll stay in the material world. So very important for us not to become a victim of prajalpa. One of the serious problems with prajalpa is, as everyone has said, we will talk, when we talk prajalpa, we talk about other people and we will commit offenses. There's a danger that by talking about others, we will be committing Vaishnav aparad. And that's very serious. And it's very detrimental, very damaging to our progress in Krishna consciousness. So we have to be very careful to guard against talking prajalpa. Always chant and speak about Krishna. We have nice devotees. They could chant so many nice slokas, different tunes. One, I think it was Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. He could chant the different slokas in the Bhagavatam in 3 different tunes, 3 different melodies, every verse. So there's so many things we have to learn in Krishna consciousness. We don't have time for nonsense talk. Whenever people would come with some nonsense talk, he would just say, I'm very busy, I have a lot of service to do. So that's what to do. You don't need to hear, just say, I'm sorry, I'm so busy, I don't have time to talk. These things. Okay, prajalpa. Now, next we have niyamagraha. Who's going to explain this very interesting topic? Do we have some volunteers for this topic? Niyamagraha? Yes, Santana Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Pranam. So, with respect to, can you hear me, Maharaj?
Yes.
Okay.
You
So,
can
with
explain to me first the meaning of niyamagraha and how it has 2 meanings.
So, niyama is basically rules and regulations, and niyam agraha together combines to make it attachments to these rules and regulations. So, I think for this particular this particular word or item, attachment to rules and regulations in general can lead to one just mechanically performing different activities and not understanding what they're doing. And when there is no understanding, then if something becomes mechanical over a period of time, either one may lose interest in doing it, or one just loses the purpose of why he's doing what he's doing. And in Krishna consciousness, that is not very useful, because if you're not conscious, the word Krishna conscious means that you're consciously doing service to Krishna and not just mechanically trying to do some service.
Okay. Yeah, so you're explaining the eagerness to, let me see. There's 2 parts to this niyamagraha, right? Can we hear from somebody else? Oh, let's see, who else is, Manishi Prabhu would like to tell us something about this? This is a very important topic. Manisi?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Nirma Graha yang satu adalah sepenuhnya mengalpakan aturan dan peraturan dan bertindak menurut keinginan dan pikiran sendiri.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Can you give us some examples? Somebody being eager to accept the rules and regulations. What's their motivation? Why are they eager to accept the rules and regulations?
Motivasi untuk mengikuti aturan itu adalah meningkatkan spiritualitas kita, meningkatkan perikatan kita kepada Krishna.
Yes, but we're talking about niyam agraha. Niyam agraha means that they're attached, they're eager to accept the rules and regulations, but not for Krishna consciousness, for some other reason. Is right? Niyam is the rules and regulations, and then you've got agraha, which is to accept the rules, and agraha to reject. One is accepting the rules, and one is rejecting. Now, both of them have got a problem. The one who accepts the rules and regulations, he also has a problem because he's not thinking about Krishna consciousness. He's got some other purpose. He wants some. He wants to get.
Terjemahan terakhir Prabu enggak kurang jelas.
You see, some people that they're eager to accept the rules and regulations, but they're only thinking about some material benefit. That they'll get something. They'll get something. They'll get some. You could call it ajahara.
Yeah, Maharaj.
Yes.
Ya, karena dia, yes Maharaj, karena dia mengikuti peraturan itu, dia berada dalam zona nyaman dan dia menikmati aturan-aturan seperti itu. Namun di sisi lain dia tidak meningkatkan spiritualnya, tidak mau meningkatkan pengertian spiritualnya.
Well, yeah. He doesn't understand about Krishna consciousness, and he's not even thinking about Krishna consciousness. He's thinking about his material desires. And he's thinking that by doing this, I will get material prosperity. In other words, they think Krishna consciousness is like some kind of karma kanda practice. You know, dharma leads to artha. So they think it's material religion, and it's going to lead to economic development and sense gratification. So that's the problem. That's the niyam agraha. They're thinking they'll get material benefit from it. It's not pure devotion. Rupa Goswami is teaching pure devotion, the path of pure devotion. But if people are doing the devotion like that, thinking about getting material benefit, that is not pure devotion. They may be following the rules and regulations, but the attitude is not right. Right? Remember, we said the attitude is very important. You have to have the right attitude. And if we're thinking, I chant Hare Krishna, I'm a devotee, Krishna should give me. Krishna should provide everything I want for my sense gratification. Then that is not pure devotion. That is not the mood of the pure devotee. So this is rejected. This is one of the fall downs in devotional service. That if we have that kind of thinking, that I'm doing this devotion for my benefit, for my material benefit, then it's not right. So that has to be avoided. There's two parts to the niyam agraha, right? The other part is acting independently and whimsically. We don't follow any rules and regulations. We don't follow scriptures. What's the verse? And that says we have to follow scriptures. You know, anyone knows some verses there? There's one verse which is comes up in Nectar of Devotion. Shruti smriti puranadi pancharatriki vidimbinam aikantiki harer bhaktir utpadayaiva kaupate. Devotional service has to be performed according to the Shruti, the Smriti, the Puranas, the Itihasas. Otherwise, it's simply a disturbance to society. So the devotional service must be performed with the correct attitude for the pleasure of Krishna. That's the idea, right? So, niyamagraha. Right? Ajahara prayashascha prajalpo niyamagraha. Then janasanga. What kind of association is this? We'll hear some people tell us about janasanga, association with who? Yes, Archana Bhakti, is it? Archana Bhakti Radha.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Maharaj, sorry.
Okay.
Yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, this says that we should avoid association with those people who are completely into, they are not devotees, they are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and they are only interested in material things. So we should not take their association, as in we should not, we cannot avoid completely not associating with worldly people, but we should rather give association rather than take association. We should avoid taking those things from them. Rather, we should try and inspire them to take up Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
That is what I understand, Maharaj.
Very nice. Yes. Very good.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Let's hear somebody else also. We have Ganga Prasad. Ganga Prasad Das. Ganga Prasad Das Prabhu. Like to tell us about Janasanga?
Janasanga Sangha, he said we should avoid the association of those who are not at all interested in Krishna consciousness.
Can you
People who are not interested.
categorize them, the people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness? What categories do they come under? Yes?
The one is Bhakti Kamis and CD Kamis. Bhakti Kamis, CD Kamis.
One more. There's one more time.
Bhakti Kamis, Mukti Kamis, and CD Kamis.
Okay, Bhakti Kamis, Siddhi Kamis,
Mukti Kamis.
So can you tell me, explain these people? Bhakti Kami is what?
Bhakti Kamis are interested in material happiness.
Okay.
The Mukti Kamis desire liberation.
Yes.
The CD Kamis desire mystic powers, mystic perfections.
Okay. Yeah. So you're not going to associate with these people?
Because they will not give you Krishna Prem or devotional service to Krishna.
Can you give it to them?
If they are receptive, yes. But if they will be a cog in your own progress, you have to let them be.
Okay. Lord Chaitanya gave instruction, because Lord Chaitanya was asked, how to recognize a devotee. Because it said we should associate with devotees. So that then the devotees said, how will we recognize who is a devotee? So does anyone know how did Lord Chaitanya reply? Chaitanya Charitamrita says, let me see, have we got some hands up for that? Some people know? Radha Kishore Devi Dasi?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on 3 different occasions answered this question in 3 different ways. In the first instance, he said, somebody who's even taken the name of Krishna even once is to be considered a devotee. And on the second instance, he said that somebody who is following the process of Krishna consciousness properly is supposed to be a devotee. And in the third instance, he said that by seeing someone, the other people start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra or remember Krishna, he is to be considered a devotee.
Yeah, okay. Yes, very good. Yeah, there's a particular, let me see, maybe somebody else knows the verse which I'm thinking of. Oh. Anyway, there's a verse which is stated there in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya, when asked how to recognize a devotee, he said, Asat Sangatyag E Vaishnava. Right? Do you know the verse? Yeah? Can you tell me? Radha Kishori?
No, Maharaj, I just know this part only, this bit only.
Asat Sangha Tyag E Vaishnavachar Sri Sangha Eka Sadhu Krishna Bhakti A. Right? That a devotee, Asat Sangha Tyag, gives up the association of the Asat. Asat means the material, right? Sat is eternal, and Asat means what is not eternal, what is material. So Asat Sangha Tyag, he's given up the association of the material. Asat Sangha Tyag E Vaishnav Achar. This is a devotee. And Sri Sangha Eka Sadhu Krishna Bhakti Ara. That also you get people who are very much involved and fond of being with the opposite sex, associating with the opposite sex, Stri Sangha, association with women, very attached to the association with the fair sex, or even to associate with people who are attached to the fair sex, then this is not good. We should give up their association. Okay, so Lord Chaitanya gave this kind of instructions to the devotees. Sometimes we think devotee means, oh, somebody's got nice neck beads, nice tilak, and you know. But as you said, the real qualification of the devotee is that they chant the holy name, or that they give the holy name to others. And there are different levels of devotees. Okay, so we want to associate with the devotee, we want to avoid the association of the materialistic people. But as you have also said, we try to give association to those people who are willing to be receptive, who are inquisitive. Impersonalists, Mayavadis, Gyanis, Karmis, Yogis, they can also be brought to Krishna consciousness by good association. But they have to be receptive, they have to be willing to hear about Krishna and to take up Krishna consciousness. Okay, so Jnana Sangha. So Jnana Sangha cha loyam cha, right? Ardent longing or greed. Who would like to tell us something about the final quality, this final quality which is very detrimental to our Krishna consciousness? We have some volunteers. Yes, Gita Indulekha Mataji, coming back to you. Gita Indulekha Mataji, you tell us about ardent longing for greed.
Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam Maharaj. Trividam narkasedam dwaram nashanam atmana kam krodhas tatha lobhas tasmat etat trayam trayaj. So when there is greed, it will just lead us to hell. So we should leave this greed for mundane material things, and if there is greed and desires for to obtain more and more things, then we will endeavor more to obtain them, and then it will lead to prayasas, and then it will lead to prayasas, then there will be our time for bhakti will also decrease. As Prabhupada has told, even if one is working, his time should be limited, the work time should be limited, so that we can give our time to bhakti. And there is no end to greed, because even if one gets one greeds cannot be fulfilled. If gets, it will increase and increase more and more. If one gets one factory, his urge to greed will be of 2, then 3. It is like burning like fire, just like we say, it's burning like fire. It never ends burning. It's increasing again, more to gain more and more. So and it's lead to hell. So we should not be greedy, and we should be satisfied in what we have. Thank you.
Yes, very nice. You mentioned greed. Where does it? What's the origin of the greed?
Origin of greed is from lust. When we come in contact with the vishya sang, like material sense objects, then we develops attachment from them, or from that attachments we develop greed to obtain them.
Right. Kama esha, krodha esha.
Krodesha. Yes.
Rajaguna samudbhava.
Machano mahapapma vidhenam I varinam.
It is lust only, Arjun, born of contact of the mode of passion.
Yes.
So we have to be careful, the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. You know, this planet is situated in the middle of the universe, so it's more inclined to the mode of passion, but we want to elevate ourselves up to the mode of goodness. The whole idea of Krishna consciousness lifestyle is to come up to the mode of goodness. Get free of this and ignorance. Yes?
Maharaj, Krishna has told it, yahi sans praja bhoga dukh yone evate adivanta konta na teshu ramte buddha. One should not be attracted to such material things which are sources of misery, because such things have a beginning and end.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Very nice.
Thank
Okay.
you, Maharaj.
So we're going to go on to text number 3. We've spoken about the 6 causes of entanglement and the fall down into the material energy. Things which are detrimental to devotional service, which come about because of the urges not being controlled. So then in text number 3, Rupa Goswami then gives us the 6 things which will help us to bring about better devotion and progress in our Krishna consciousness, right? So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada begins by describing the different energies, talking about the different energies which are there, right? The 3 primary energies of the Lord. So who would like to answer that? What are the 3 energies of the Lord? Can we see some hands?
What is it?
Who have we got who didn't answer yet? Some new people? Okay, Premananda Das. What are the 3 energies of the Lord?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. You means Premadhana Das?
Sorry, the 3 principal energies of Lord Krishna. Premananda Prabhu, you going to tell us?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Premadhana.
Oh, Premadhana, is it? Sorry. Oh. Okay. Premadhana. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. And what my understanding is, energy is first is Antaranga Sakti, and Bahiranga Sakti, and Tastasta Sakti. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Maharaj?
Yes.
First is Antaranga Sakti, and Bahiranga Sakti, and Tatasta Sakti.
Yes, can you tell us what these are? These are very technical words. I don't know the meaning. Oh, what happened? Oh, okay. Okay, so we hear from somebody else. Let's see. Bhakti? Oh, is he connected? Premadhana Spa? Premadhana, Prabhu, yes? Tell us about Antaranga Shakti, what it is.
Antaranga Sakti is the external energy of the Lord, and Bahiranga Sakti is internal energy of the Lord, and Tata Sakti is the energy between this Antaranga Sakti and Bahiranga Sakti, Maharaj.
I think you got them the wrong way round. The Antaranga and the Bahiranga. Bahiranga is external energy.
Okay. Yeah. Bahiranga is the external, and Antaranga is the internal energy of the Lord.
Right.
And then the Tatasta Sakti is the between of them.
So tell me, what is the external energy? Where do I find that? Can you tell me what is, can you give some examples? What is the external energy? Do you see it anywhere? Can I see it anywhere? Yeah? Dana Prabhu? Can you give examples about the material energy, the Bahiranga Shakti?
Yes, about the creation of the universe and the living entities like that.
Well, the living entities, you said they were Tatastha Shakti.
Oh. Yeah.
But they come into the material world, right?
Yes.
They fall under the Bahiranga Shakti. So the Bahiranga Shakti is the material world. And the Antaranga Shakti, where is that?
Antarasa Sakti is internal energy, just like the part, just like Hamsa and Kala of the Lord, the expansion of the Lord, Maharaj.
Yeah, the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Is the Antaranga Shakti, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
And the deities and the temple is Antaranga Shakti.
Yes, Maharaj.
And the Lord's paraphernalia is all Antaranga Shakti. The holy Dham.
Yes.
Vrindavan Dham, Mayapur Dham is Antaranga Shakti. They're all holy places. They're not material. Okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
And the living entity is the Tatastha.
Yes. The Jiva is Tatastha Sakti.
Right. So the living entity desires to come into the material world, and the result is he comes under the control of the material energy. Right?
Yes, Maharaj.
So does he have a blissful time? Is it very pleasant under the material energy?
Actually, it's not a real happiness or real enjoyment, actually, Maharaj, in this material energy. Not the what is the not the needed of the jiva actually in this material energy.
In what ways is he suffering?
Yeah, because if he continuingly do some activities in this material world, they will again uh, um, uh, take birth and again, and there is janma mrityu jara vyadi is there.
Yes.
And also get some suffering like adhyatmika klesa, adibautika klesa, adidawaka klesa.
Oh, yes, very good, very nice. Right. Can you tell me about these three kinds of suffering? Which one is adibautic?
Let me slowly, Maharaj. Adibautic klesa is the suffering we get from another living entities.
Yes.
If I'm not wrong.
Can you give an example? What kind of suffering from another living entity?
Just like maybe some envious person who attack us like that, and also from the animals, from the snake like that, Maharaj. Biting by scorpion.
Yes, right. Snake.
Yeah.
Good. Right.
I'm sorry, Maharaj. My English is very simple.
It's okay. Very clear.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
So adibautic, then another kind of suffering?
Adidayaka klesa is suffering from the nature or
Right.
from the demigod, just like a earthquake, like a
Yeah.
tsunami, like a
Yes.
cyclone,
Yeah. Yeah.
etc. Like COVID-19, Maharaj.
Yeah. COVID-19. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, this
And
is
what more? Adi-atmik?
Adhyatmika klesa is just coming from our mind, Maharaj, our own thinking, on mind, our own desire, like that. So this make
Mind,
us
also,
mental.
also the body.
The body, yes, Maharaj.
The miseries of the mind and the body. Right.
Yes, yes.
Adi-atmik. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Prima
Thank you,
dana.
Maharaj. Dandawat pranam, Maharaj. Haribol.
All right, so the living entity has a choice between the material and the spiritual world. But in both situations, is the living entity free? Are we actually free? You know, people all want freedom. But we see in Prabhupada's purport, Prabhupada's explaining how the living entity is never free, whether he's in the material world or in the spiritual world. So who's controlling under the spiritual energy? Who's controlling? Oh, we will ask Tukaram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Maharaj Prabhupada explains that living entities are not independent because they are Tatastha Shakti, marginal. So either they have to take shelter of the Antaranga Shakti, which comprises of Srimati Radharani or Lakshmi or Sita. And if not in spiritual energy, it will take shelter of material energy under Mahamaya or Durga. Under the shelter of Antaranga Shakti, so they'll call Mahatma. Mahatma namastu mam partha daivim prakriti mashrita. So because they are under daivim prakriti, so their activity is bhajante ananya manaso. That means to satisfy the senses of the Lord and engaging in Krishna consciousness. But when they take shelter of external energy, then their activity is to satisfy their sense gratification, either their own sense gratification, or sometimes they reject their own sense gratification for extended sense gratification of society or country or human philanthropic activities, etc.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, very nice. So we heard about the miseries of the living entity and how he's suffering and how we can choose to be controlled either by the spiritual energy or the material energy. Okay, we're going on to text number 3. We want someone to recite that for us. Who's learned the Sanskrit? Text number 3. We have someone? Let's see, yeah. We have Shankara Das.
Saya 3.
Shankara Prabhu.
Saya mau jawab tentang tata sakti tadi, boleh? Tentang tata sakti. Hare Krishna, Prabhu Hare Krishna.
Oh, really?
Maharaj, Hare Krishna, saya mau jawab tentang tata sakti tadi. Tata
Okay,
sakti.
well,
Yeah.
Was it something really important?
Ya. Menyambung masalah yang dibicarakan tadi, boleh Maharaj?
Okay. Alright.
Jadi makhluk hidup berada dalam tataran disebut tata sakti, dia berada di tepi, seperti sebuah tepi, terkadang dia kena air basah, terkadang dia kering. Jadi jiwa itu berada dalam tepi. Jadi ketika dia memiliki sebuah kebebasan yang sangat kecil, maka makhluk hidup disebut anu. Jadi makhluk hidup memiliki kebebasan yang sangat kecil. Nah, ketika dia memilih di alam material, maka makhluk hidup sedang berada dalam ketidakberuntungannya, sehingga dia bergaul dengan kegiatan-kegiatan yang menghambat bhakti, dan dia berada dalam pengaruh rajas, tamas. Sehingga makhluk hidup tersebut disebut duratma. Karena dia berada dalam pengaruh tenaga eksternal Tuhan. Nah, karena dia berada dalam tataran sifat, ya, oh iya. Jadi kegiatan ketika makhluk hidup itu, ya, dalam ketidakberuntungannya, dia berada dalam kegiatan-kegiatan yang menghambat bakti, dan dia sedang berada dalam tataran rajas, tamas. Dan para makhluk hidup disebut yang seperti itu disebut para duratma, yang mereka yang tidak percaya dengan Tuhan Yang Maha Esa. Ya.
Okay. All right.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, thank you.
Ada dua jenis makhluk hidup. Yang satu makhluk hidup yang tidak beruntung, yang dijelaskan tadi sebagai duratma karena dia berada
Yes. Is he going to explain the difference? Why is one fortunate? Why is one unfortunate? What's the difference? What are they doing? Not, he's muted, huh? Oh. Okay, I think we've taken enough time. We have to go
Sekarang
on.
bisa? Iya, deh.
Okay, thank you. We want to go into text number 3. 6 items were described which are very favorable for cultivating Krishna consciousness. First of all, we could recite the verse. We wanted somebody to recite the verse for us. Maybe I will ask Ratan Singha Prabhu, do you know the verse?
Yes, Maharaj. Utsahan nisyayadharya tattat karma pravartanat shangatyaga shato vritte sadvir bhaktir prasiddhati. So the translation goes like this, that there are 6 favorable items for devotional service, which guarantees the success of the sadhaka in the path of devotional service. And the 6 items are Utsahan, means enthusiasm, and Nisyas means endeavoring with confidence, and patience, Dharya, and then Tattat Karma Pravartanat means acting according to the regulatory principles like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, and Sangya Tyagat means leaving the association of a worldly minded person, and Sato Vitte means following the footsteps of our predecessor Acharyas.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good. Would you like to tell us how to cultivate enthusiasm?
Yes, Maharaj. So we can read about, we can read the Prabhupada books and associate with devotees, and by these things we will get enthusiasm in bhakti.
Okay, we hope so. We hope. Enthusiasm means eager for service, eagerness. Prabhupada points out, bhakti means activity. Bhakti, some people think it's lazy idleness, but no, bhakti means activities, right? There has to be activity, and we should be enthusiastic for these activities. Enthusiastic to serve, enthusiastic to do kirtan and to chant and to hear. This very important quality. Prabhupada saw that when he went to the West, devotees had no qualification, no culture, no education, no good training, but whatever he told them to do, they would do it very enthusiastically. So that was a very important quality, and it helped Krishna consciousness to spread everywhere. Enthusiasm. Okay, and then who would like to tell us next about enthusiasm? And then Utsan Nischayat. Meaning? What's the meaning? Nischayat?
Confidence.
Can we have some hands? Nischayat? Okay, who's here? Let's see. The same people every time, huh?
You can also ask Maharaj.
Yes, can I ask somebody?
Yes.
Maybe people just see, what about this Advaita Chandra Das? Atmavan Das? Advaita Chandra Das, Atmavan Das?
Hare Krishna
Two
Maharaj.
people there? Yes? We would like to please tell us about these two, Utsan, Nischayat and Daryat, patience and endeavoring with confidence. Can you tell us something?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to speak English. I'm sorry.
Then speak
Nischayat
Bhasa.
is.
We have intended to speak Bhasa and they can translate.
Ya. Hare Krishna Prabhu, mohon diterjemahkan. Niscayat artinya yakin atau confidence. Kemudian daryat artinya kesabaran. Jadi setelah kita berusaha untuk menjalani proses bakti ini, kita tidak ingin cepat mendapatkan hasilnya, tapi kita harus menunggu dengan sabar. Jadi kapan Sri Krishna akan memberikan karunia-Nya, maka itulah buah dari kesabaran, dari hasil proses bakti kita.
What's the example Prabhupada gives in the purport to describe about patience and confidence?
Yang pernah saya dengar, jadi di dalam melaksanakan proses bakti itu, kita harus optimis, kita yakin bahwa kita pasti bisa pulang ke dunia rohani. Dengan catatan kita harus mengikuti atau berlindung kepada guru kerohanian, kita yakin kepada beliau.
I don't hear anything.
Kita harus terus-menerus untuk berusaha di dalam bakti, dan kita tidak ingin cepat-cepat untuk mendapatkan hasilnya.
No, but there's an example Prabhupada gives. He gives a nice analogy about being patient and confident. To explain how we have to be patient and confident in our devotion. Does somebody know this example? We'll open it up to the rest of the class. Who knows this example? Oh, some people raised their hands. Let me see. Priya Govinda Das.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Prabhupada mentions a newly married girl naturally expects an offspring from her husband, but she cannot expect to have them immediately after marriage. Of course, after getting married, she has to be patient and surrender to her husband so that she can be able to beget child.
Yes. In the same way, how does it apply to devotional service?
In the same way, we have to surrender to the spiritual master and execute the instruction of the spiritual master with patience, and in so doing, then we shall be able to gradually understand Krishna consciousness and advance in
Yes, with patience and confidence. You have to have faith, trust in the instruction of the spiritual master. So in every endeavor, Prabhupada said, in every endeavor, these three things are very important: enthusiasm, patience, and endeavoring with confidence. Prabhupada defines enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is defined as endeavoring with confidence in Krishna consciousness, endeavoring with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. In this way, Prabhupada describes the meaning of this enthusiasm, endeavoring with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. So we should try to remember this, very important, particularly in devotional service, but in everything, there has to be that enthusiasm. How to be enthusiastic? One way is to associate with other people who are enthusiastic. Another thing is we should become enthusiastic by reading and hearing about Prabhupada's life. It's very inspiring, very encouraging to hear about Prabhupada, how he was so successful in spreading Krishna consciousness. From nothing, he could build up a big empire of Krishna consciousness all over the world. So when we read about Prabhupada's life, it's very inspiring, very encouraging. We should become enthusiastic. When we read about great devotees, not only Prabhupada, all the great acharyas, when we hear about them, we should become inspired and encouraged. All right? Then there are three more items, very favorable to Krishna consciousness. Tat tat karma pravartanat. Meaning, let's see, who's going to tell us about Amala Krishna Das Prabhu and Vidyut Prabhu. Vidyut Prabha. Vidyut Prabha. Huh?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Tatat karma prawatanat artinya mengikuti aturan dan peraturan yang ditetapkan, seperti misalnya mendengar, memuji, Srawanam Kirtanam Wisno Smaranam, mendengar, memuji dan mengingat nama suci Krishna. Yeah.
Yes. Some people think, I follow the four principles. No meat, fish, and egg, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. And I chant 16 rounds. Is it enough? Well, that's the very minimum. If we want to advance, we have to do this tat karma pravartanat. We have to regularly hear and chant. And we have to worship Krishna. We have to be regulated in our devotional life. Just like in the temples, we have a morning program. So we may not be staying in the temple, we stay at home, but you can have your own morning program at home. Wake up early also. Just because you don't stay in the temple Doesn't mean you don't have to wake up early. You can also wake up. And wake up early, you get the auspicious time of the day. It's more peaceful to chant. And it's easier to concentrate early in the morning. So tat tat karma pravartana. Again, very powerful, very important for all of us as devotees. We need to have this kind of practice. Morning program, chanting, and then evening also. Very good. If you can do it now with the lockdown, lockdown in so many places, we have a lot of time to do hearing and chanting. People are not so busy. They all have more time to chant. They're locked down in their places. Very nice. Okay, so tatkat karma pravartana. Then sangat tyagat. Who's there? Let's see, we've got some new. Ananta Pandit Das. Prabhu, would you like to tell us about sangat tyagat? Meaning? You know the meaning? Sangat tyagat? Is he there? Ananta Pandit?
Yes, Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Maharaj.
Do you know the
Artinya
meaning?
Yes.
Sangat tyagat?
Sangat tyagat artinya meninggalkan pergaulan dengan orang-orang duniawi.
Association.
Yes, right. Giving up the association of materialistic people. Yeah. So, do you have any problems with that? Do you have a lot of materialistic association there?
Yes, Maharaj. Too much also.
Really? Where?
Yes, Maharaj.
In your job?
Yes, in office also many materialistic person, Maharaj, and also in our family also many also materialistic.
They're not devotees?
Yeah, not devotee. It's very difficult to also avoid that association, but we must have a commitment to avoid that association, Maharaj.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes difficult situations. You have to be tolerant. Are you able to chant the holy name?
Yes, Maharaj.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Are they vegetarian? No.
Yes, they respect with us. Sometimes they give us also the vegetarian food. They buy to the restaurant vegetarian devotee, and they give us the prasada sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice. Very good. So association is there. And then Satovrite, the last item. Who's like to comment for this Satovrite? Let's see who's not spoken. We got some new people here. Bankim Govinda Das. Bankim Govinda Das Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes. Can you tell us about Satovrite?
Yeah, Satovrite means following the footsteps of the previous acharyas.
Okay.
So we have to learn the truth by approaching our spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively.
Yes.
And read his books. Read Prabhupada's books.
Okay. Following in the footsteps. Are you going to follow in Prabhupada's footsteps?
Yes, yes, Maharaj.
In what way? Are you going to go to America and start a worldwide movement?
No, abiding by his teachings and instructions through his books, whatever he has given.
Okay. Study his books. Yeah, like Prabhupada, worshiped Krishna, chanted the holy name of Krishna, told people about Krishna. Lord Chaitanya told the Brahmin at Kurmadesh, Yari deke tarikaho Krishna Upadesh, right? Wherever you go, whoever you meet, tell them about Krishna. The Kurma Brahmin wanted to leave his home, but Lord Chaitanya said, no, you don't have to leave the home. You stay here and just tell everybody about Krishna. And in this way you become the spiritual teacher. You don't have to, we don't have to imitate, we have to follow in the footsteps, follow the example, to be Krishna conscious. So we can be Krishna conscious everywhere. Krishna is everywhere, wherever we go, that's Krishna's energy. So everything can be used in Krishna's service. That is also that is also following in Prabhupada's footsteps. Prabhupada taught us use everything for the service of Krishna. Right? You have some land, you use it to grow tulsi, or you use it to build a temple if you want. If you have a lot of money, you can build a temple. If you don't have a lot of money, you can grow tulsi there. And if we have family members, we try to give them some Krishna consciousness. Try to preach to them, expose them to Krishna. Okay, so this is Satovrite. Let me see, we've got some, what questions does Prabhupada ask us here? Oh, the 9 processes of devotional service. I assume everybody knows these, the 9 processes of devotional service. And then, what is the meaning of Avashya Rakshabe Krishna? Mentioned there in the purport. Avashya Rakshabe Krishna. This is from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is Bengali language. You see, Prabhupada also was brought up in Calcutta, so Bengali is his native tongue. So he's quoting Bhaktivinoda Thakur from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sharanagati. Sharanagati is Bhaktivinoda's songbook about surrender. He wrote many songs about surrender. So Avashya Rakshabe Krishna means knowing that Krishna is going to protect us and Krishna is going to provide for us. This is one of the items of surrender. Sometimes people ask, what does surrender mean? So it means that to know Krishna will protect us. So this is the point which Prabhupada is making there in the purport. We have to have that faith and confidence that Krishna will protect us and Krishna will maintain us. That is surrender. So that's one of the questions there which we have on the text. And then describe it also 2 aspects of Tattva Karma Pravartana. Would somebody like to tell us about that? Huh? Really? Time is up? Oh, okay, time is up. We're finished. Okay, we'll take 2 questions just to finish off. Okay, they're on the chat, 2 questions on the chat. We'll just go through them, right?
Are the deities Antaranga Shakti or the Lord himself?
Definitely, the deities are the Lord himself. Okay, good point. But the Lord himself is also within that category of Antaranga Shakti. You know, the Lord, his abode, this all Antaranga Shakti, isn't it? You could say, well, the Lord is different from his energy. One and different, cannot separate.
And the second question, Maharaj, is the devotee the Tatastha Shakti or Antaranga Shakti?
Is it devotee Tatastha Shakti or Antaranga Shakti? Well, he is Tatastha Shakti, but he has that independence that he can be, he's meant to be under the Antaranga Shakti, but due to misuse of his independence, he often comes under the Bahiranga Shakti. So he's described there as the Tatastha Shakti. Sometimes he is described as the Antaranga Shakti, but that if we say he's Antaranga Shakti, then he couldn't become Bahiranga Shakti. But he can, we know. So it's more correct to say he's Tatastha Shakti. But he finds his actual situation is actually better in the Antaranga Shakti. That's his natural position, to be with Krishna and serve Krishna in the Antaranga Shakti. But we cannot say he's Antaranga, we cannot say that he's not Tatastha. He is Tatastha Shakti, he is marginal. Okay. Huh? Okay, so there's the questions. Thank you for the questions. So we'll stop here tonight, and we'll be back on not tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow, right? And we'll go on to text number 4, day after tomorrow. So please prepare. Look over text number 4. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
Jai.
Jai.
Thank you,
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna.
Pranam, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Vancha
Thank you. Hare
kalpatarubhyascha
Krishna.
kripa sindhubhyaya patitanam
Patitanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo
Vaishnavebhyo
namaha.
namo
Luar
namaha.
biasa kripa
Hare
sindhu
Krishna.
wajah patitanam pavanebhyo namo namaha.
Krishna.
Vaishnav Thakur ki jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Terima kasih Prabhu Bala Krishna. Terima kasih Prabhu Sudama. Matur Sesama Prabhu.
I think Abhijit Prabhu has left the call. We might have to talk to him on WhatsApp. Yes, both are heard. Both voices are heard. Yeah, that is better. Yeah, like if they do it part by part, like how you hear in lectures in the temple, where someone speaks 2-3 sentences, then you repeat. That will be better. Yeah. Thank you. Great.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dhamma sepertinya Prabhu Sudama Gopa sedang tidak di depan laptop. Jadi silakan tanpa mengurangi rasa hormat. Prabhu Dhamma yang ingin meninggalkan room disilakan.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Sepertinya sudah selesai dan Prabhu Sudama Gopa sepertinya sedang keluar dari kamar beliau sehingga belum di stop meetingnya. So we'd like to request the devotees that you may leave because I think Sudama Gopal Prabhu is not in front of his laptop. So he still not end this meeting yet, but you may leave. Hare Krishna.